The Northern Transformation. Northern cities. Northern cities grew as a result of the Industrial Revolution. This growth created the new problems for America. The Industrial Revolution spurred urbanization due to the displacement of people from rural areas to cities. The cities faced problems like fires, lack of good sewage systems, and clean water. Filthy streets contributed to the spread of diseases. Inventions also contributed to the growth of northern cities. The telegraph by Samuel Morse revolutionized the way people communicated. Millions of wires were laid throughout the nation. Factories on the east could now communicate to their markets in the west in a matter of hours instead of days. The Mechanical Reaper by Cyrus McCormick made it easier for farmers to settle in the Midwest prairies. Threshers were also improved, and later on, the combine harvesters was invented, making work easier. By 1860, northern factories were producing most of the nation's products. A transportation revolution. Progress in transportation made it easier for businesses to obtain raw materials and deliver production to market. Improvements in transportation boosted the growth of American industry. Both raw materials and clients became closer to northern factories. Steamboats and clippers were inventions that helped transportation through rivers and oceans. Railroads helped the most in bringing raw materials, manufacturers, and markets together. In contrast to ships, railroads could be built almost everywhere. Horses pulled the first ones, but in 1830, Peter Cooper built the first American steam locomotive. A new wave of immigrants. Due to many factories, millions of Europeans migrated to the United States in search of a better life. Factors that moved millions of immigrants were poverty, improvement of their standard of living, or take advantage of their skills. Millions of immigrants arrived in the United States from Eastern Europe. Due to the Irish potato famine, a wave of Irish people arrived. Many of the men were hired in the construction industry and women as domestic help. Many Germans arrived in the United States running away from the failed revolutions. In contrast to the Irish, arriving Germans came from a social strata. Many of them settled in Ohio and the Great Lakes. There were reactions against the growing migratory wave. Nativists opposed migration because most of the Irish were Catholic. Northern African Americans. In spite of the end of slavery in the North, free African Americans fought to try to defeat discrimination and prejudice. Slavery ended in the North by the beginning of the 19th century, but they still had to suffer a harsher discrimination than the immigrants. Discrimination is the denial of equality of rights based on race, religion, or identity. Right to vote was denied to African Americans. They could not be allowed to work in factories or workshops. Segregation was present in schools and public facilities. African Americans had to create their churches when they were rejected by the whites. White newspapers often depicted African Americans as inferior. African Americans founded their newspapers. The first one was the Freedom's Journal, established in New York in 1827 by John V. Russwurm.